barring none, because they were tortured as children, took away their heart. Can you imagine being tortured and some of the things, like you tap the child, you put oil on them in an ant's nest, those kind of things. Those things.
What are you saying? Those are actual
yes, of boys recalling what happened to them as children. What happened to them in terms of for discipline, and she spoke about the whole thing of corporal punishment, but she closed with the blessing of the Father. And the preacher closed with the blessing of the Father on the life of children. And I recall this. I remember another counseling psychologist who is a pastor who would go around with doing assemblies with children. And he says he found it so fascinating that the talking, and he says, has anybody, this is talking to adolescents, just blessed you? And they said, no, nobody has ever given me a blessing. And he started to do it, and the tears started to just because nobody had just put their hands on them. I said, I bless you, my son. There are some things that we take for granted.
Yes.
But for a lot of people it wasn't. And if you think we're making it up, the account of Jacob and Esau, in terms of the boys, the blessing of the first one that Jacob took from Esau, and then when Esau discovered that Jacob had
received it all,
had received it, him start ball, and him said, Daddy, not even one.
Is there nothing left for me?
Not even one. They get a blessing for me. That's so important.
Yeah,
a blessing is for children.
Would you define blessing? Because we speak of it. We speak of it using the word itself all the time. And because it this morning, what I would like to bring home to listeners is that whether you know it or not, you crave this blessing. Some might say approval. In modern day speak, we talk about desiring the approval of one parent or another. Affirmation. But the blessing goes beyond that. Because the blessing is declarative. It has the power to plant an idea and to inspire you to greater achievement. And it's all tied up with the love and the respect that should exist, ought to exist, between parent and child. And it can have a serious positive or negative ripple effect on future generations.
It does. And
it's never too late to get it,
Oh, yeah. I tell you a story. This is something personal.
Yes, your testimony.
So even in terms of the relationship with my dad and myself, it was very rocky. I told you a story that I'm Percival. I'm named after him. I am Junior. But those persons who know me early out in life, in terms of the community I grew up with, if I go, they'll never say Percival Palmer. No. They remember me as Junior Palmer.
Junior.
And why that was so, I was just simply because of the nature, the rocky nature of the relationship between myself and my dad. And for all the things I had him up in my heart. I was wondering, what did I do wrong to deserve all of that? But anyway, I was spoken to we had an encounter, myself and my father, Heavenly Father, and he says, you really can't carry this with you all of your life. And so he says, you need to go and speak to your dad. And I did. I went and spoke to my dad. And I remember we spoke for hours. I was just asking him questions as to why this, why that,
Was it difficult to
It was very difficult. No, it was difficult.
Did he resist you or
No, he resisted. Yeah, man. But eventually...
You worked your charm.
It's not a charm, sister. Until he bawled. And I said,
What broke the resistance? Can you remember?
I don't remember.
Was it when he saw how important it was to you? or
I don't
when you look
remember.
back at it?
I'm trying
Because
to it, but
because
eventually,
there are many persons who need to bridge that gap, who need to close that gap of silence
mhm,
which exists between themselves and their fathers.
mhm.
Men, we generally we culture our men into feeling that silence is a part of strength
It is not.
and that being emotionally vulnerable to your children is a form of weakness.
Mm-mm.
And there are many unspoken things between parent and child, and in particular fathers, which need to be said in order for each party to be forgiven, be released, to flourish.
Right.
You remember I used to use that word a lot.
No, it is
I'm bringing it back
no, it is to flourish. So,
to flourish.
and I just
So how you break it, I mean, as you are drawing on your own personal experience,
I was trying to.
it's very easy for a daughter to break that silence with
And I
any
asked,
parent.
I remember
But
asked,
how does a son do
I
it?
asked, I couldn't understand because some of the things, even today, I remember them vividly. Some of the interactions, like one of the things I have learned, and I say to parents, but especially to dads, do not make promises to your children that you know you cannot fulfill. Because you remember common entrance? So for me, I remember my dad said to me, even though we weren't close, and my dad was alcoholic, and that affected us as a family big time. But anyway, and I can see that all over the country. But anyway, he promised me, says, if you pass your common entrance and you do well, I'll get you a watch. So I did well.
And prepared your wrist.
Yes.
Eyes it up.
It never happened until like 6 months after.
Oh, so it did happen.
Yeah, but here's the funny part. It happened. So one day he comes home and he says, oh, here it is. And I look at my wonderful gold watch. And then it stopped working within a week. I said, Daddy.
He didn't say a working watch.
No. And he took it and said, fix. I never saw the watch again.
Okay, you've not forgotten.
So those kind of memories,
Yeah.
But so all that pile up, and as I said to you, I was confronted. If we've spoken about the Lord's Prayer, true? Forgive us our trespasses.
As we forgive.
I will forgive those. So I'm saying, no, man, you can't. You got to confront. You've got to think. And I remember, and that happened some of the times in the silence when you are away. I was on a trip overseas, and I do a lot of introspection, and you hear, and I heard that, and when I came, I went straight. By then, my parents had been divorced, and so I went to where he was at, and I said, hey, started talking 3-4 hours, and I said, I'm asking these questions. Now I'm an adult, a young adult, asking all of these questions, and I said, giving all the excuses, and I said, anyway, just that that your son, this son, because they have other sons, but I was the only son of the marriage. I forgive you. And that was it. It was like, but the blessing. So after my children were born, I brought them and says, I bless but you need to bless my children now. So I cleared that, but then, so they know him. They know their grandfather. When he passed, everybody was at the funeral eventually, but they know, I says, you need to bless my children, because the blessing is so very, 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 very important to individuals. So I'm saying, and it comes out of, remember I always said to you, my mom would say to us, with all of the things you're that, you need to honor him. Because interestingly, you have the 10 commandments, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th one says, honor
Honor
your father and your mother, which is the only commandment that comes with a promise. Because honor is simply, and you have said it. Remember what your words have been about honor? Honor is not what the person can give to you or so on, because we've gotten into this culture. I only honor somebody if they can give it to you. Honor them because of what they represent.
In the will of God.
Yes.
In the will and the plan of God. Yeah.
So that to me was, it's been, so for me, it is a joy and a privilege. I said that to my children yesterday. Hey, you know, it's a privilege for being your father. And I think when my son says, I don't know if I'm going to marry.
He said that?
But he wants to be
a dad like
me.
Like the one. Oh, all right. There's some crying in the studio at this point.
So, but it going. And then you don't know, fathers. You do not know the power that you have over your children as being the anchor. And especially for daughters too. The research is there now. Research Institute said there are 40 assets that protect children, at-risk children. And one of the things is the relationship that you have in the family and what it does. Because everything you hear me say it, life is about relationship, the quality of relationships. And you can see, I have seen, you said, they're not supposed to be succeeding. Based on the circumstances of their birth, they're not supposed to be doing well or thriving or flourishing.
Yeah, and let's make the link, because this business about the blessing,
yes,
is what can be, its presence can just lift you, and the absence can condemn you. As a consequence, persons will look at those whose birthright did not or does not appear to carry weight based on the circumstances
of their
birth, and condemn them. There is a process that I want us to look at, Percy, and I'm hoping Lowell might even feel intrigued enough to jump in on it, since, I have 3 dads in here, but I don't expect that the engineer will jump in. But of the dads present, there is a way that you can extract your blessing even if your father has passed away or does not exhibit any capacity to confer the blessing. There is a way that you can extract your blessing. Percy touched on it a bit when he confronted his dad and forgave him and released him. But you also mentioned being aware of the impediment which caused him to be less than a desirable father. And your awareness, you must study your people. Your awareness of whatever impediment prevented your father or your mother, but today it's about the fathers, from blessing you in the way that they should. When you are aware of it, you can, by forgiving your parent, claim your blessing. Because the blessing is not just, well, what's a blessing? A blessing is an empowerment conferred through the declarative words of another person that sets you on a path to good things. That's the blessing. Even when somebody says, God bless you, what they're saying is, may God give you the resources, the means that you need to do well. So your parent might bless you by saying, you are my son, or you are my daughter.
And I'm well pleased.
Or you might say, as I frequently say to mine, I say, you are the best of me. You represent the best parts of your mother and your father. And everything that is excellent in my character, it will be multiplied in you.
It releases, let me tell you, it releases the
confidence
to do and to go and to be and to become everything. And because I mentor a lot of people, young men especially, and you speak words of encouragement.
And it's very prophetic because the person who is young and yet to accomplish have no idea what they can go on to do. But you, with your wisdom and your experience and your knowledge of them, and this is why it is important too in the parenting relationship that you allow your children to get to know you, because they have confidence in your opinion of them. And your opinion should be born out of your knowledge of them. So I know this kid from he's just, lying on my bosom and can hardly move. I see his strength. I see his courage as he takes on different things through childhood. I know this person. So when I say you can do it, you can accomplish, you can achieve. I've seen you overcome things that you don't even remember. They draw on your knowledge of them to fire up their determination to do things well. Now, if your parent dead and gone, or
people come in your life,
or is very ill, or whatever the situation might be, but you are still saying, why hasn't my father blessed me? Your father can bless you spiritually through your own journey into learning and loving your parent and forgiving the one who has not done the best job. So it's time for us to take the 7:00 break. But we're going to go back into this when we return, because I sense that Father's Day, in the aftermath of Father's Day, there may be some fathers with questions and there may be some children with questions. And we love to give answers. We'll be right back.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
10 domestic violence intervention centers have been established at police stations across the island. We tell you more about the centers on today's program. I'm Andrew James Sawyers. 8,746 domestic violence cases were reported to the police in 2022, several of which were fatal.
16% of our murders relate to interpersonal issues. That's a lot when you have high numbers. And of those interpersonal ones, domestic violence has its own share.
Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson. More than 28% of the victims of domestic violence in the year 2022 were males. Commissioner Anderson says the high number of reports for males represents a change in the culture and perception of victims of domestic abuse.
At one time, the person was at the height. Now we provide the conditions so that people can report it and it can be taken care of from a counseling perspective, resolving some of the issues. Year on year, you see the numbers going up. This does not necessarily mean that the cases are going up. It could mean also, and seems to mean at least part of it, is the confidence people have in reporting cases of domestic violence. And the introduction of centers which the police run, you can go to when they have these issues.
To help address the issue of domestic abuse, the government recently established 10 domestic violence intervention centers at police stations across the island. The centers will better equip the police to respond to domestic violence incidents and provide support to victims and family members. 6 of the 10 centers were established through collaboration with the European Union (EU) and United Nations (UN) under the Spotlight Initiative. The centers are located at the Negro Police Station in Westmoreland, Alexandria Police Station in St. Anne, Santa Cruz Police Station in St. Elizabeth, Hayes Police Station in Clarendon, Greater Portmore Police Station in St. Catherine, the Constant Spring and Matilda's Corner Stations in Kingston, Gale Police Station in St. Mary, and the Morant Bay and Yalas Police Stations in St. Thomas. The center managers, who are also police officers, engage in quarterly training each year to strengthen their capacity to handle various types of domestic abuse matters.
The government takes the issue of domestic violence and interpersonal violence very seriously, and we intend to sensitize the police officers both in training and at work, and the challenges posed to them and want to provide the required facilities to ensure they can deal with it.
Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang. The Bureau of Gender Affairs works closely with the domestic violence intervention centers to provide psychosocial support and counseling to victims and survivors of domestic violence. The National Security Ministry is also receiving support from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Through our holistic approach to the focus of crime fighting, when dialogue with the relevant agencies that are required outside of the police force. We want the Ministry of Health to have the required clinical psychology in place, as well as agencies that work with domestic violence to work collaboratively to deal with what is an emerging, very, very significant problem in the society.
Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang. If you or someone you know is being impacted by domestic violence, you can report the matter by calling 119 or the nearest police station. There are also other options that you can explore.
Anybody who wants the services of the center, they can call the center office. Or they can 876-224-4274, where they are directed to a center nearest them. They can also walk in directly or go to a local police station.
Head of the Domestic Violence Intervention Centers, Deputy Superintendent of Police, DSP Jacqueline Dillon. Thanks for listening. I'm Andrew James Sawyers.
If we ignore road signs, the consequences can be deadly. The new Road Traffic Act is about saving lives and driving us all to arrive alive. Help to maintain law and order on our nation's thoroughfares. Be a good road user. Obey the road signs. Help us save lives on our roads.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Best 100.5 FM brings you youth empowerment and resilience, a 30-minute program with Walton McLaren every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Your Monday nights will not be the same again. Managing stress, trauma? Let's talk on youth empowerment and resilience with Walton McLaren on Best 100.5 FM every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already Pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us on 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Getting fired when you tune into
Brought to you by Via Express Couriers. This and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Best 100 FM. Hear from some of Jamaica's top entrepreneurs. Get updates on deals and upcoming events. Tips for business and pure vibes. Vent a safe space for discussion. Make we chat, no man.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and me check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. Yeah, hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
Try and call him, cause trust me.
What a relief.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, the power of the blessing, even as we continue our reflections on Father's Day and how important it is for fathers. Yesterday, the focus was on fathers, and as I was relating, it was very special for me. It always is. I count it a privilege to be father to the young lady and the two young men that
God has given you.
Yes.
The children God has given me.
And then, of course, I invest a lot in people. I think that's what I love to do. I love to call forth what I see God has put in them to say, no, man, you can do it. And so yesterday, it was a good feeling when people just reached out to say, thank you. You're not my father biologically, but in a lot of ways, you have helped me for times when daddy wasn't present or daddy wasn't present or he was there, but you filled a major gap. Yesterday, we're at home and one of my sons come and say, hey, your daughter outside. And I said, my daughter outside. I thought Daniel was in a room, but it's a little girl I've known her from, she's about 3 and she's now about 18, an adult. And she says, hey, it's not alcoholic, because she brought a wonderful bottle of liquor for me. And I'm saying, thank you. And we're just reminiscing for the time. And she said, you know me for a very long time. That even persons figure she was my daughter because she was always in our company. Because she's my next door neighbor's daughter and take her to school, So she just came to say Happy Father's Day. Yep. So the blessing is a very, 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 very,
cannot be overstated important thing.
Yes.
So I'm writing notes because I want to look back at this one day and reflect on it. I'm making a note. What is the blessing? The blessing is prophetic and declarative words of affirmation and promise given by one person to another. That's the one these are my words coming up with what the blessing ought to be and really what it is. Such words will inspire, motivate, and give stability to an individual.
It releases you, my dear.
Yeah.
It releases.
Father as source. The word father means source.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it can be source of the biological material that make you up.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also source as in the place you go to refuel, to claim what you need in order to advance, to succeed, to progress. And that is what fathers are meant to be. Mother as the nurturer, the one who brings life into the world, who incubates and delivers, has a different meaning and role from father.
Strength.
Father gives strength, point of origin. And so the father's blessing is very different from the mother's blessing. The father's blessing is the one that can power you across generational divides.
It does.
And many of us, like it or not, whether we recognize it or not, carry a curiosity about our fathers, who they are, what brought them to wherever they ended up when we met them. Because you see, mother, you come out of her body and you don't have to wonder when you met your mother. But your father is as sort of an unknown quantity whom you have to meet and experience. And the way that you can even know your mother's smell and her voice. And I used to tease my son and tell him that he heard every sound that your body make. When he's inside, he hears your stomach rumbling, your bones creaking, your blood flowing. There's such an intimacy to the knowledge that mother and child share because of how life is gestated and developed. That there are things which are taken for granted between mother and child. But where father is concerned, father in many ways mimic your relationship with God. You recognize father as an important point of origin, but he is unknowable in the intimate way that you know mother. When father blesses you, therefore, it carries the weight of that unknowable source speaking into your future and pulling from what is unique and powerful about father and conferring it, imposing it, giving it into the child. You receive that in a different way because in many ways that is truly an addition to your life. Everything you have, even your bones, your teeth came by drawing from mother's body as you were being formed. That is that's you. But when father pours into you, father adds something. This is just my own reflection on it. And your relationship with father really does mimic your relationship with God, because when God pours into you, you know you have received something that you didn't have before, but which finds an easy companionship and kinship with what's already in you, because you did come from father.
And so the blessings, which life and death is in the power of what you speak, and you shall eat the fruit thereof. The words that parents speak, but even more that fathers declare over their children. I've seen it in my own life close up in terms of my own children, in terms of young people and persons I've met.
What about what was said to you? I mean, do you have any recollection of being wounded by unkind utterances? I mean, aside from the broken promises, which you really need to let go. Were you, can you recall being told anything? Like there are some children who say, they hear their parents say, you now come to nothing, or you are you just like so-and-so, and they condemn you with words that compare you to somebody who even you can tell that that's not a compliment.
No, what?
Do you have recollection of any such? Or like me, were you nursed and fed on words that spoke to, your unique characteristics, the prospect of a bright future?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Even with, give him his due. My father, who is deceased, he was very proud of his son and would declare. So it was a mixed bag in terms of what happened. But and then there was a determination inherent in me to prove him wrong, in the sense. You understand?
Yes, but wrong how? Because if he was proud of you, what was he wrong about?
No. Because it balance it. I'm just saying, okay.
I'm giving him that look, everyone.
No, what I'm saying, spoke some good things.
Yeah.
Standing on the well, but in terms of the actions, in terms of the things that he needed to reinforce,
yes,
in terms of being there.
So you mean you use the expression "prove him wrong"?
A lot of people do that.
Yes, and I'm wondering now because it may have been Freudian to put on my counselor hat, which I'm borrowing from you for a spell. I'm probing it because a lot of us unconsciously pull from how people relate to us condemnation that may not actually exist. So you would say, I'm going to prove you wrong, but I didn't really actually condemn you. You have interpreted my failings, my weaknesses as statements about you, which they're not about you at all. Forgive the vanity, but it's nothing to do with you. What it is, it's all about my struggle and my inability to rise to that place. I'm pulling you there because before the break, I spoke about how it is that you, with a dead father and non-speaking parent, can still get your blessing. Because your parent is only a conduit for the blessing that comes from somewhere else. And the conduit, the pipe might have been clogged at the time when you showed up with your bucket to collect. But your blessing is still on the other side of the clog. And if you can remove that blockage, it will flow. I am speaking in a very
metaphorical way.
Yes, but also prophetically.
Okay.
Because I know that there are persons out there who saying, "Me never have no father, nobody never give." If that is an important reference point for growth, then I'm doomed because how can I get past it?
But you can connect to.
By connecting to the source of what should have come through your parent, you get what is yours because it's still there with your name on it. It's just like the postman didn't show up for work. So it's sitting on a desk somewhere.
It's there to come because
it is there.
Because some people have said in regards to some people can't really experience God the Father because they never had a
human
earthly father who pointed them and showed them. But some people have moved beyond that and have experienced God the Father in a way that, that is why that relationship with God is so very important for you, because it opens the door for giving you the things that were given to you from the very foundation of the earth, when God himself says, you're going to be born, you're going to come with a purpose, you're going to fulfill a destiny. So connecting back to the God, the creator.
Yeah, because it's like I'm seeing like an electrical circuit and something has gone bad in the middle, and you have to jump over the bad part and get back into the circuit.
Or remove the thing that has corroded.
Yes,
so
in the pipeline, so you can connect. So I'm really saying to you that it doesn't matter if your father is dead in prison. disappeared and you can't find him and you don't know if he's dead or alive. It does not matter. There is something he was carrying for you, but it didn't begin with him. He was just one in a line of others to deliver something across the generations. If he drops the baton, it's not like in the Olympics where that's the end of the race. If he drops it, you can actually bypass that point of failure and get back what is yours and then be a way better steward to pass it on to your future generations. Am I making sense, Lloydie?
It you can.
Making sense?
And
Let's make sure that the young fathers are listening.
And that is where people along the way, because for me, fighting through that in high school,
Yes.
there were teachers or form teacher, there was a vice principal, there were a spiritual father, all those people helped to, okay.
Yeah,
They
to be
feel
a
they're
part,
of, yeah.
to be a part of that bypassing of the point of failure.
And
so you were able to not just reclaim the blessing that was yours,
but
secure it for your own children and release your dad, so that you could be a better parent and a better.
Well, I tell you, and that was a motivation.
Yeah,
that was a, I guess, a proof, the motivation. If nothing else in life that I want to succeed at, it is being the best father that I can be. And even being the best father means that you are a chief servant. You are sacrificial. You serve. Those things I've learned, and even just reflecting on one of the things that was said, because it was letters written to me or by different persons, my biological children and so on. That was so important. Yep. I really
so there's one other thing that I feel should be said, and I'm gonna go by way of example. In my own family, my father had a name for me that the other day my sister said she never liked it. So I won't repeat it because my sister might be listening. And if she is, I just say, a big shout out. I know that I have two brothers who are fathers. So, I had to reach out to them yesterday. And the blessing that I got from my source to pass on to the fathers whom I don't remember if you got that one or it came to me afterwards, to say to them that of all the success you may enjoy in your various endeavors, the greatest one for you will be your performance, your role as a father. So just keep on loving and doing. Don't matter what you do, as long as you're doing it with love for your children, for those whom you parent, just keep on doing it, because that at the end of the day will be your finest accomplishment. There are some times when it's like I get an understanding of what it is I need to say to persons, and I say it, and it's like a broadcast. It's not for one or the other. It's just fathers need to know, no matter if you're a big businessman, if you're a high-flying politician, if you're the sharpest CEO on the market, if you are the best contractor, no matter what you are excelling at in your public life,
your children,
what you do as a parent, as a father, is going to be your most important contribution. And for that, you've got to keep loving and keep doing. Just two things. Very simple. Keep loving and keep doing. Don't ever retire or get passive in your role or feel that you're no longer needed or any of those things. Keep on doing what you are commanded to do. Love your children. And just keep doing. Make it an active, no passivity, no room for passivity here.
It's an active thing.
It is an active thing.
So
that was my blessing that I was conferring, because I could tell that some persons will grow weary and feel that, and
do not become weary in well doing.
You can't get weary.
In due season you will reap.
If you faint not.
If you faint not.
If you're fainting, you're now going to divert attention. People are going to have to be resuscitating you instead of you getting a reward. If people are. Yeah. So So that was the message. But from my own experience now as a child under parental care, well, you can tell I am not shy about speaking, and I think God blessed me with the gift of communicating, so I can interpret my feelings and I can communicate them. And I am very empathetic and intuitive, so I can feel what you are feeling and I can relate to it in a way that makes it easy for you to speak to me. It has always been so, even as a child. A fairly quiet and reclusive child, but I was able to connect with persons easily. So my father and my father was the world to me. And for a spell, I felt that I was the world to him. He never made me feel unloved, unwelcome, unwanted. I could always go snuggle up to him, get involved in what he's doing with my many questions and so on and so forth. So I grew up feeling very, very loved and secure in my father's heart. Not so for everybody else in the household, because what they say, what they say about the 7 children, 7 different. Everybody have their own personality and their own way of relating. I was secure. So I would, as I grew up, hear the complaints that never do this, never do that, I didn't get this, I didn't. And it had a negative impact on some. I had to forgive my father for the perceived wrongs committed against my siblings.
Okay.
I had to do that. In order for me to even relate to them, I had to do that. So there's a work of forgiveness that if you approach it with the sincerity and the heart that we are commanded to have, you can get your blessing. Right now, today, I'm dead and gone, but your blessing is still waiting
to get it.
For you to claim it. Take the break.
Beneficiaries. The PATH payment cycle begins on June 19, 2023. Post offices and payment agencies will deliver payments based on last names up to July 3, 2023. Check the weekend star to find out when and where you should collect. If you miss your date, you must collect between July 4 or July 5, 2023. For more information, call PATH at 876-922-8007 or visit the ministry's website and Facebook page. PATH, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Best 100.5 FM brings you youth empowerment and resilience. A 30-minute program with Walton McLaren every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Your Monday nights will not be the same again. Managing stress? Trauma? Let's talk on youth empowerment and resilience with Walton McLaren on Best 100.5 FM every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-time taxi service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us at 926-3866. We are something special on the road.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on the Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.
Good morning. Welcome back. So we continue to speak about the importance of Father being anchor, Father being the source of blessing, Father being the one that declares the things that are not as they were. That's a part of the blessing that your Father does for you. Because even in terms of how in our tradition, we call him the priest, the prophet, the protector, the provider. And priests, you have to have relationship, which is important because you have to hear what God is saying to you in terms of how you set your family up. Prophetic, speaking the words in terms of what's being revealed. And protector and provider is easy enough for most men. But have you ever seen a chicken without its head? You remember country chicken? And you were killing for your Sunday dinner. So you put him under the pan and the neck is out and you chop off the neck and then it runs up and runs around for
But you
time.
put him under the pan. Why is he running around under the pan?
No, when you put the
body of the chicken is under the pan
and the neck is
the
out.
head is out,
So you
right?
Cut off the
you
head.
chop off the head.
And then even after you lift up the pan, it continues to run about until
Man,
it falls.
you tortured your chicken before you cooked it.
Before you cook it. No, but I was drawing that in terms of each person, but even more so every male, every
what a
man.
gory memory you have awakened right there.
It's not a gory memory.
Yes,
No,
because
like
somebody had
chicken.
to know. You see, somebody had to hold down the pan while it kept, fluttering under it
but then
until it stopped.
Yeah,
But if you don't have the right size pan or you're not an expert,
you let it go.
Oh my
You
God.
understand? Yeah, but
Lowell is looking quite. Didn't that happen in your neighborhood? Oh, but you never lose the pan. So your chicken didn't run away. Your dinner didn't run around without its head.
yeah, headless chicken. So that's picture.
So who's the headless chicken? In what picture are you
Men
painting?
who are not in relationship with the God of the universe.
I see.
Yeah,
So the God is the chicken head.
head. Just thinking about the head.
We're inviting producer so we can get
Well,
more
good
male
morning.
energy on the subject.
Good morning to all our listeners. I've been listening quite carefully, to the conversation. There's an element that I want to introduce. Well, there's a part that I was in, so hopefully I've not yet spoken about it, but it's a role that mothers play, the women play as it relates to the father. Because some of us like to think that just having a child makes you a father, and we know it isn't. You spoke earlier about the father needing to be introduced, and that is so very important because it's a woman's role to introduce the father.
Sometimes we select many
And
fathers.
yes.
Wait,
and
No, because the moment you said it, I remember those shows where the woman produced one man and said, "Here's your father," and the DNA says, and it continues. So I know it's a big point
I know
you're
for
making.
actual case, this person grew up with his father.
But let's not lose. Let's not lose where we're going. So that introduction is important. Now, it is a reality that we live in a society of broken homes, a lot of broken homes. And oftentimes, the child or the children becomes victim of that broken home simply because the adults involved, they do not manage that situation properly. And so the hurt that the adults feel is passed on to the children, and they never get the opportunity to understand what happened there. And so they carry a lot with them through their lives, and oftentimes it really don't come out until they are adult themselves.
Right.
And so it is very important that parents are even trained and taught how to be parents. Because if you don't, then you will find yourself in a situation where your children are being hurt and you have no clue as to what is happening. We need to realize that it is important that we learn to manage our emotions in relationships. And it's even worse when both parents are together and they are at loggerheads and the children are there to see it. Yeah, the separation is one thing.
Yeah, because
when they're together,
you had me thinking
yes.
that pain, that transference of pain can happen both in parents who stay together, parents who get divorced, or even when one parent dies.
Yes.
So any kind of monumental shift in the dynamics of the home.
So whichever way you take it, first it has work. Because there's always grief counseling.
Yes.
And grief counseling don't come about because a person dies.
The mortal.
It comes because a relationship dies.
Yeah.
There is death in one form or the other.
Yeah.
And people need to recognize that.
Yeah. It has impact.
People need to recognize
a big thing that that came up as you spoke, I saw that though introduction usually takes place at the beginning of a relationship, and they say you never get a second chance at a first impression.
See, we seem to have lost Percy.
But thankfully, you and I are always enough for each other.
That's why you have not lost me, because when you raise that, there's a paper.
Oh, that you authored?
No. The perceived father acceptance, rejection in childhood, and the psychological adjustment in adulthood.
It brought it back to mind.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to borrow from the author's opinion, but I want to make a point touching on when Lowell said introduction. I saw introduction as a continuing event, largely because the parent changed, the child is growing, understanding change, and at each stage of life, you almost have to reintroduce. I grew up in an environment where my father had 5 children outside of his relationship with my mom. These are all older children. So I grew up seeing my mom operate as the intermediary between the two sets of children, the mothers and my dad, and I understand that at every stage, there's a fresh understanding that you as a child need to get about who your father is, how you relate
to those
how you relate in those situations. And it's my mom, like how your mother says, your father, you've got to respect him, honor. I know that there's something I have to, a picture of him I need to maintain no matter what I see in, going on between him and my mom, or him and the other children, or whatever the drama might be, which is very typical of Jamaican homes.
So, my situation, for example.
Yeah.
I grew up with mother and father.
Yes.
I didn't really have the kind of relationship with my father that I thought boys, children should have. He was always at work. The thing I can say for him is that he always lived with us. That's as far as it goes.
He always came home.
He was there. There are things that I saw in him that I determined that would never be a part of my life, And so I set about, adjusting my life and my relationship with my children so that I don't fall in that category. Now, let me tell you something. Life is something else, because try as you may, if the mother of your children is not on board in terms of ensuring that the relationship with the children are a wholesome one, then believe me, it's a serious uphill battle.
No one person can accomplish it.
Serious uphill battle.
It's a partnership. It's
and it becomes worse if the parents are separated, because then, depending on who the children are growing with and what they feed those children, then that will produce the kind of adult that you will see. It's very, very strong children who will make assessments for themselves and come out, in in a different way. I thank God I was one such child.
Yeah, and do what we're talking about, which is to find a way to your blessing that your parents, the blessing that your parents carry for you, in spite of the interruptions or whatever dysfunction might exist. That's what we were talking about when you left, that there is a way for children like yourself, like what you accomplished for yourself, to get back to that place of wellness and to have that sure foundation as though you had got the blessing in the normal way.
Right.
There is a way to do it. And I think, we all need to learn it because, as you say, many of us come from dysfunctional homes.
Right. It is also very important that you allow the children or encourage them to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know what a person is thinking unless they speak. Very, very important. Because you see, they suppress things and you'll never know about it.
And sometimes it's not a conscious
You'll never know.
suppression.
Yeah. I mean, look, listen, I've been known throughout my family to be the disciplinarian. Yeah? And sure, the two children that can really speak about me being a little terror at that time were my nephew and my niece. They are big people now, adults. But as you grow older, you learn and you adjust how you deal with things.
You get into the loving and doing.
So now, come my children now, they get the best of me. Right? And I thank God for that. Now, it's interesting that you can also be viewed in a particular light, even though who you really are is not so. And it is perception that comes into the picture, which is why it is so important that people speak and you ensure that your children are given good information.
But are we coming?
Both,
we're now getting into issues of integrity because
parents.
The one person that you are, your unitary identity, should be visible to your children as well as to the adults whom you meet. But what you're touching on, Lowell, is that because children perceive things from a different vantage point, it's like the elephant. One man is seeing the tail, one is touching the tail, one is holding the trunk, and one is touching the sides, and each person thinks it's a different thing.
The trunk, the tail.
But when you, as you get older and your vantage point shifts, you're able to bring that complete picture together. Depending on where a child is in their own development, they may only see the disciplinarian side. They're not going to see the fun-loving side because they don't need that just yet. And it might confuse. And we're talking about this morning, is for persons who are at different stages to recognize now that even if something don't feel quite right or it's not working to my advantage at this stage, things will change and you can be in control of it with the knowledge that my blessing is on the other side of this problem. I can navigate my way to it. That's what we're teaching this morning. That even if you were interrupted in the normal flow of things, there is a way. And it made me think of those electrical circuits you and Daniel are always getting me interested in. And how you build a circuit and there can be an obstruction or a failure at one point. And you can bypass it, you can cut it out, you can repair it, whatever. But you can resume the flow of energy through the system by what you do. And if you have the knowledge that this is possible, you're one step closer to getting it done.
That and it's important to understand that one of the things that help to deal with dysfunction is communication. It's building our relationships with the children so they know and they feel comfortable being able to talk to their parents, their dad about anything. And it is something that you have to foster, something you have to build upon.
It don't just happen.
One of the things, I just remember things that has happened to me in terms of us building relationship with my children. Because I know that a lot of parents of adolescents are lost now. They don't know what to do with them picnic. I know where's that? Because they never built the relationship early out. And they say, when they reach out, okay, we can't forget them adult enough. No. It's when they reach adolescence that relationship becomes even more important.
Different vantage point.
Yes, and it's the different vantage point, but the relationship that you have, everything you do is about the quality of relationship. And it's something you have to foster, you have to build, you have to push.
When I say different vantage point, I'm emphasizing that as your position shifts and your perspective shifts, it's a new relationship that has to emerge. I mean,
we have a foundation for that.
Yeah, there were some, and you have the foundation coming from the previous engagement. Do you know when I was small, may I tell you what age it was? My mom was still in her childbearing years and she was pregnant. Of course, as children, we thought pregnancy meant you had done something nasty. I don't know where it came from. Maybe it is all of that Bible thumping, Christian morality that passed for worship in some parts of the world. But someone said I remember they said it to my sister and I at school, like, your mother is pregnant. And we cried and went home. We were so young. We didn't even consider that that's how families are made. We felt like someone was saying something bad about our parents and we had to now be thinking that, oh, my parents have sex. You don't want to. There are some aspects to your parents' relationship that you don't want to contemplate. You don't want to know about it. But then you're now in your 20s and you are yourself now looking at relationships and family and so on. And then you become curious. You want to know something of who they are as partners to each other outside of just making sure the children are fed and have clothes and go to school and so on. So your relationship changes. Can parents change with that? Can you make that transition and have the kind of discussions with your children that will allow them to see more of you and be helped in their own decision making?
And being authentic.
One of the things we have to recognize.
Noel is the most expert parent here in Earth.
One of the things we have to recognize is that our children are not really extension of ourselves. We'd like to think so, and people will say so from time to time, but they are individuals.
Yeah.
They have their own personalities and so on and so forth. Yes, they might have a few things of you that you share in common, but we have to recognize that and try not to make them into who we are. We need to learn, we need to get to know them. We need to get to know them.
In as much
because
as they
who they are is what they're born with. Right? Is not what we try to make them to be. When we try to make them into things, then you can run into problem.
So
what you try to do is
you run into
them.
problem.
Yes.
No can,
Well, strong enough to overcome it.
No, but it
does cause problem.
Create stress on the relationship.
No stress, so you listen.
And then your children avoid you.
Yeah.
They don't want to be around you.
hurt them in a particular way, a particular way of life, and so on and so forth.
But it's interesting, they imbibe your values.
And similarly, you need to allow your children to get to know you. And children should take the initiative and get to know their parents.
So this is adult children, of course.
Yes.
Oh, well.
And even the younger ones, the mothers, right? Or the fathers in this instance, we're speaking about fathers. The mothers must take the time to let their children get to know their fathers. Some fathers, they think that, boy, you must always rough and tough. So they always have this kind of exterior that they promote, But of course, the mothers know better. And so the children need to understand that there is another side to your father. And the father need to learn to display that side to the children so that the child can be balanced when they start to assess for themselves and ultimately become parents themselves.
Yeah. I just reflect on something that recently happened when my youngest looked at me and said, "You know that you're a gallus?" I said,
Oh, I remember that.
Yes, I remember Percy the Gallus.
And I'm saying, what is your definition? It became a big thing on the family thing, Because I said, no.
You denied it.
I said, no. So I explained. I said, oh, no, I understand.
Percy, how did you find out?
Look how we talk. We talk about every and anything. And this
So you have-
children is being authentic.
So you have redefined Gallus for him.
No, I said, no, I didn't redefine it. I just explained. I said, his impression of what a Gallus was, that's not what it meant. So, yeah, so it was interesting.
So did he recategorize you?
Yeah, man, he did.
So what you became?
Oh, his daddy does have a lot of female friends. He's not a Gallus.
It was fun. We'll speak about that one off here.
No, because in terms the different people you interacted with, and he was saying, "Oh, no, that's not what it is, my son." And we could start a discussion like with Conrad.
So you were giving the young man the wrong impression.
I don't know, but what is impression? That's why
Somebody gave him a wrong impression somewhere.
Yeah. But Conrad has raised an important point as we speak about relationships.
Before we get to Conrad, let's just hail up Earl, who is now in California.
Yes.
Showing off on us as always with his round the world travel. But you know what? I admire him. No matter where he is in the world, he manages to send us a shout out.
Or to things.
Earl. What's happening in Lancaster, California, where it's 5:28 a.m. and he's tuning in?
He was eating some African food.
Oh,
was that this
polenta?
cafe?
Okay, no, he sent me pictures of polenta. We were talking about cornmeal, turned cornmeal, otherwise rebranded as polenta. And he sent me many pictures of some golden polenta. Yeah, but yeah, you wanted to touch on what Conrad is saying. Hey, Conrad. He says Jamaica is the country where 75% of our newborns get the wrong father or so-called jackets.
So much?
I mean, maybe Conrad's statistic but that's how it
came out
feels. There's a high percentage.
US when people are applying for their children and so on. Said some people got the shock of their lives
when the DNA test came in.
Back and I said,
well, there are some of those shows that you watch in the daytime.
Yes,
where they take tests to determine paternity. And boy, I tell you, it is something else. It is something else. I'll say no more.
But you know what always gets me? Because the confidence with which a woman will say is him.
What? Or not him.
So he spoke about the woman
introducing the father. That's what I caught in that.
Yeah, that is such an important thing. And there's a person I know and he's in, you grew up hearing this, then it's not him, then this. And so, it's affecting him because
immaculate
his son is so very proud of the name, but it's the name that he has is not him real father.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, but you see, and that's why we talk about skipping the point of failure and just getting back on track. Because who have a genuine name, really?
Yeah.
Especially black people who got names from plantations.
Aye.
You gotta just work your way around that, because equally to go back to Africa and try to reconnect to the original name, some people will never afford that trip.
It's something in the spirit. I told you about my cousin who went to her tribal.
Yes. As you say cousin, I see her running.
Yes, she's running.
Pulled by the energy towards her ancestral ground.
Yeah. But we've spent talking about fathers and parenting at length, but we really need to fix that. That, if we're gonna really get where we need to go as a nation, we have to fix that. We have to fix
it or come to terms with it and
then fix it.
Because something when you think
where it's at and say this not working, so we have to do something different. We have to approach it in a different fashion, because the real fix happens in terms of families.
Yeah, the repair job that has to be done, it doesn't necessarily relate back to, you're traveling back in time to reverse history or whatever. When we say fix, I immediately start to think, okay, what am I asking people to do? Because I know that some things, if you address it based on its type, you can't fix it. You have to go either earlier in time to purpose, divinely ordained purpose, and then make a connection between that original point and where you are today. And sometimes it means many of the intermediaries who seemed so important in the run-up, as you do that alignment, they fall away as completely inconsequential, as obstacles and points of interference that you shouldn't have even spent time on, but they gave you some good experience that can become testimony when you're dealing with others. In my journey, there are some people who interrupted my path that it's only when I'm in deep reflection I even remember them. And they seemed so important at the time. You know, I was one of the very bright ones that got common entrance first go and was not even 10 years old when I had to go to high school. And I went into a boarding institution where the mother of the house was horrible. And really, if I were a suicidal type of person, I would have ended there. Today, where is she now? Let's take the break. We're coming back at 8 o'clock. We're going to open the lines, and it has not escaped our attention that NCB is not for sale. But we want to talk about things that are covered in the media that have high, impact on various other things and how we relate to them, because Mr. Leachin has been making the news in a serious kind of way and in recent times. And there is reason and purpose to all these reports. And then also on the headline, we're seeing, is this today's headline? Saturday. No, this was from Saturday. The cascade surrounding the Integrity Commission continues. And there is a new senator.
That's where I went.
There's a new senator who seems to be on a very old war path.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about these things that the government, how things are being organized around us and what we're supposed to do concerning it. 8 o'clock, let's take our break. When we come back, we open the lines.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Hello, I'm Emily Thomas with the BBC News. The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, said he's had candid and constructive discussions during his visit to China. Mr. Blinken echoed comments by the Chinese President Xi Jinping that both sides had agreed on the need to stabilize relations. He acknowledged their views were at times vehemently opposed.
We have no illusions about the challenges of managing this relationship. There are many issues on which we profoundly, even vehemently, disagree. We will always take the best course of action to advance the interests of the American people. But the United States has a long history of successfully managing complicated, consequential relationships through diplomacy. It's the responsibility of both countries to find a path forward, and it's in both our interests and the interests of the world that we do so.
A BBC correspondent reporting from a southeastern village liberated by Ukrainian forces says fighting is causing heavy casualties on both sides. He described the Ukrainian infantry's difficulties in the face of Russia's superior air power. Mayeni Jones is in Kiev.
Ukrainian forces are doing well, but this is going to be a hard, long counteroffensive, one that will take several months. Some security analysts are suggesting that perhaps because we're still in the early stages with Ukrainian forces pushing up against a very kind of deep Russian defensive line, that Russia's tactic might be to try and deplete Ukrainian forces, keep launching missiles, keep targeting civilian infrastructure, tiring them out. So by the time Ukrainian forces get deeper in the defensive line, they might have lost a lot of the weaponry and tanks and other assets that Western NATO allies have sent to them.
Allies of Russia's most prominent opposition figure, Alexei Navalny, have criticised a decision to stop broadcasting his latest trial. Mr. Navalny faces new charges of extremism at a hearing inside the penal colony where he's being held. Journalists had been denied access but could monitor proceedings on a video feed until this was turned off. Steve Rosenberg reports.
I'm in penal colony number 6 with a group of journalists. We've been allowed into a room to watch on a video screen what's happening in another part of the prison. There, in a makeshift courtroom, Alexei Navalny, who's already serving a 9-year prison term here for fraud and contempt of court, is on trial again. This time, Russia's most prominent opposition leader faces multiple charges, including creating an extremist network and financing extremist activity. The proceedings are widely viewed as politically motivated. Mr. Navalny has said that the case could extend his prison term by up to 30 years.
BBC News. Israeli forces have killed at least 4 Palestinians, including a 15-year-old boy, and wounded at least 45 more during an army raid in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian militants targeted the Israeli jeeps that entered Jenin refugee camp with improvised explosives. Israeli forces then used a helicopter gunship in the West Bank for the first time in over 20 years to facilitate the rescue of 7 wounded soldiers. 9 Egyptian nationals suspected of involvement in the sinking of a trawler carrying hundreds of migrants off the Greek coast last week have pleaded not guilty after appearing in court on Monday. Sophia Betitzer is outside the court.
The 9 men were arrested after several survivors said they had taken turns to steer the boat, give orders, and communicate with the Greek Coast Guard. They're all Egyptian nationals aged between 20 and 40 and are accused of forming a criminal organization to facilitate illegal immigration and of causing the boat to sink. But the lawyer of one of the suspects said that his client is innocent, that he was just a passenger and had paid smugglers to be taken to Europe. Experts say that the real traffickers don't risk their lives. They normally pilot the boat at the start, but then abandon it to reach safety.
A report by climate experts says Europe was approximately 2.3 degrees Celsius hotter last year than in pre-industrial times. They said 2022 was marked by extreme heat, drought and wildfires, sea surface temperatures reached new highs, and glacier melt was unprecedented. The German government will shortly sign an agreement with the US manufacturer Intel to build a major microchip plant in Germany. It's a key part of its economic strategy to reduce reliance on foreign production of such chips. BBC News.
Beneficiaries. The PATH payment cycle begins on June 19, 2023. Post offices and payment agencies will deliver payments based on last names up to July 3, 2023. Check the weekend star to find out when and where you should collect. If you miss your date, you must collect between July 4 or July 5, 2023. For more information, call PATH at 876-922-8007 or visit the ministry's website and Facebook page. PATH, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Get inspired when you tune into Vent, brought to you by Via Express Couriers. This and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Best 100 FM. Hear from some of Jamaica's top entrepreneurs. Get updates on deals and upcoming events, tips for business, and pure vibes. Vent, a safe space for discussion. Make we chat, no man.
Best 100.5 FM brings you youth empowerment and resilience. A 30-minute program with Royton McLaren every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Your Monday nights will not be the same again. Managing stress, trauma? Let's talk on youth empowerment and resilience with Royton McLaren on Best 100.5 FM every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-time taxi service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us at 926-3866. We are something special on the road.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats. Yes.
Good morning and welcome back. Well, we want to open the lines, but then as we started to touch on some of the current happenings, and we always like to make sure that there is a foundation for us to discuss the current happenings, I thought let's just take 2 minutes and look at what's happening with NCB. Uncharacteristically, Mr. Lichin is speaking in a very open way. I say uncharacteristically because in the years that he has been at the helm of NCB, you don't typically see this kind of personal utterances being reported on in the local news. Most of what we know about him is what we would pull from his doings in Canada and so on. But he's been very, very much in Jamaica for more than a decade or so, staying close to his major asset. It is reported that NCB accounts for about 50% of the earnings of, did they say the group? Let me just be accurate about it. Jamaica represents 50% of NCB's earnings, which NCB and the investment portfolio is beyond the shores of Jamaica, even through Guardian Holdings. They are also have a presence in Holland. I see that. And we know that they had spread themselves in the Caribbean. NCB being the largest financial institution, one of the largest in the Caribbean. Yeah. A legacy asset is what Mr. Lichin calls it. So why is Mr. Lichin making the news in what seems to be such a personal way?
Somebody have an agenda?
Yes, I suspect that there's something happening which is being kind of approached in bits and pieces because, this would be like, how do you eat an elephant?
Piece by piece.
So we're getting snippets and snippets, but Mr. Lichin is saying, well, I'm a businessman and investor. I am offloading, I'm buying and reviewing my portfolio all the time. So why is it making news now? You must ask yourself that. I think everybody is having a theory. Some are speculating about this, that, or the other. I take particular notice of his withdrawal from active duty in the bank, which is a heavily regulated business. And when a significant move like that happens, you get the feeling that it's a kind of a circling of the wagons, and removing things that may prove to be
problematic.
Yes.
And speaking of problematic,
yeah,
Jack Hill developments, potentially problematic, geologist finds.
Oh Lord, potentially. Is this the area where there was a landslide that blocked the road?
Right, a geologist has looked at it.
That's very conservative.
4 new developments are raising concern, for instance, in Jackson, even though, boy. So, and Jet Founder says that Kingston and St. Andrew Metropolitan Municipal Corporation has been reckless in the extreme. Because he said, very soft rock. So what they're trying to do is research. This is Professor of
Simon Mitchell.
Simon Mitchell, he says. And he must know what I'm talking about because he's done. See that? Also cover areas up.
Paleontology. This is his
expertise.
Expertise. Yeah. But you see, we always have to ask when these developments hit stride, are persons just acting, out of line with the regulation, or are they getting some preferential treatment of one sort or the other that allows them to go that far? Some persons, before you start the development, you have to borrow money and so on and so forth. So you can't be wasteful and be doing too many things ahead of your approvals, because if you don't get approved, you lose the money. Persons who have a certain depth of pocket can begin to move preemptively to prepare their development site ahead of the full approvals, because they are able to afford it. And if they take steps that prove to be dangerous or problematic, it have one result or another. Where the regulators come into it, it looks like we may now get to the point where pre-development or pre-construction steps need to be the source of greater regulation, because you own a big piece of land in an area and you're entitled as a landowner to do whatever investigations you might want to do, and those investigations prove to be problematic. You have neighbors with their own valuable real estate that you have to think of. So if I were to make a call, I would say any proposed development, even the steps that you're taking to investigate what you want to do, you should have a conversation with the regulator.
And even with that now, remember it was when we read it last week, Thursday, it was said a parliamentary had
a legislator
had involvement in Tavistock, and Voss comes out saying nothing.
Mr. Voss says not him.
Nothing.
So we're gonna go through 63 denials.
Well, we'll see what happens. But then he has a letter in his possession which says that the PMP. That he says that they were asking Golden to resign if he pushed back against this the parliamentary increase.
All right.
They say we don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Should we just open the lines, because I think
before you do that,
Cascas. Oh, you do that.
I think it is unfortunate that in his maiden speech, the newly minted government senator Abaka Fitzhenley.
Abaka. Is that deliberate?
Abaka. Yeah, must be Abaka.
I see.
Baka.
All right, go work with it. I work with it.
I said that. What is you would have thought, and you mentioned it because you said the lady who's now Minister of Skills and Digitization is a member of Jamalco board government.
Yes.
You figured they would have gone. And this gentleman come with this. I was told. And he saw him say it. You mustn't. You read it.
I figure it's a disappointment for many, not a disappointment for me. The one contact I had with this this young man as a journalist satisfied me that he didn't have the brain power to really, I shouldn't put it that way. That might sound...
No.
Yeah.
Let's be kind.
Well, I was not impressed.
Yes.
I was not impressed. And I will say I am hard to impress, but I was not impressed. So I had no high expectations. I figured that exactly what he has done, entering the House, speaking as he has, jumping into the fray concerning the Integrity Commission, it displays exactly the kind of sense that I suspected that many 2 or 3, 5, 6 summers ago, when he called me concerning a story he was about to write and explained himself as
having information.
Same thing. You know, something is in the same vein. He called me about a story that he was going to write, and I asked him whether he was satisfied to the proper extent of his journalistic obligations, that the story was based on truth or some fair representation of the truth. I said,
or hearsay.
And he told me that he was satisfied because he had been shown a transcript of a conversation between 2 persons whose voices he did not know. I said, a transcript? He said, yes. I said, and a transcript satisfied you that so-and-so was actually on a telephone call with this person. There was a kind of an awkward pause before I ended the conversation. So I said, any journalist who can be presented with a transcript of 2 persons not known to him speaking, I could have just write that up and give it to you and say, sit here, man, they were talking on a telephone. I dismissed him from that point on. When I saw him being appointed as senator by the JLP government, I understood immediately he was not going to be a great credit to the House. And his maiden commentary on the Integrity Commission, what did he call them? He accused the Integrity Commission of partisan action against the administration.
But if that is so, then why would they have the gentleman, what's his name?
But it's not so. So
it's not so because
we don't even need to test
in their
it.
cross ears.
Yeah.
So.
Each side seek to use the Integrity Commission to carry out investigations and to look at issues which they think will reveal wrongdoing by the other side. And you know what?
But just you say, because the Integrity get all of these
complaints,
documents.
Yes.
They're going through and they say, all right, put that over here, that not add up. Those look clear because they think. I think that's how they do it.
But they get complaints too.
Yeah.
And the complaints are always going to be about public officials.
Mm-hmm.
And public officials that rise to the requisite level of interest would be those who are in government.
Mm-hmm.
So most times
opposition and thing, that's not big.
Yeah, but no, those who are in the sitting administration have the resources that most people are watching. Mm-hmm. The man in opposition, yes, there are things, but unless he is carrying out official tasks as government, the jurisdiction may not be there.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from statutory declarations, which is one body of work, and here you are just an auditor, like a forensic auditor, putting things together and trying to make sure that people are keeping their hands and their noses clean. The bulk of their work is going to be looking at how public officials who are exercising governmental authority are dealing with our business. So at any time, the Integrity Commission should have more work being done in relation to sitting government officials than the opposition. It stands to reason.
Makes sense.
It makes sense.
So and it looks like, remember that cookie jar?
Yeah, let's open the lines and hear what.
Just before, as we open the lines, and the numbers are, the challenge of leadership is to be strong but not rude, be kind but not weak, be bold but not a bully, be thoughtful but not lazy, be humble but not timid, be proud but not arrogant, have humor but without folly. Jim Rohn.
Where
I shared it and I found it interesting. So even when you're in leadership, you have to be strong, but you're not rude. You know?
All right, let's open the lines before it's 8:30. The numbers to call 619-1508, 876-279-8473. Which is the one line that is working better? The 619? 619? All right, so 619-1508 makes it easier for us because we don't have the pressure of callers on hold, which we can wrap up our conversation. So please give us a call. We have been doing a Father's Day recap and talking exhaustively about the importance of the blessing of the father, the patriarchal blessing. Let's call it that. Give it a fancy name. The blessing of the father. But wanting, especially Jamaica with some of its, kind of unique family situations, wanting to reassure you that your father's blessing is on the other side of whatever problem you're experiencing now, and you can still get to it. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, November. Welcome.
All is well, African. How are you? Are you a father? Did you have a good Father's Day?
Like the thing I divide in a community. And the father thing and the man thing and the woman thing and the lady thing and the mother thing, it divide back right now, yeah?
Tell me what you mean by that.
I'm going to divide the people in this community.
We should have Parents' Day instead of Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Yes, this community. You have to need right on the head. I don't like division, division.
Some might call it multiplication because instead of having one day, you have two.
This community.
Yes.
They divide the something. Divide it come to religion and politics. So religion and politics do already.
I would hardly equate the two, African. I think honoring the fathers in a special way it is more of multiplying the respect than yeah, but no.
One day. You honor the mother, the father, and the children.
So that means you didn't take special note of Father's Day.
No, Miss Minute.
Okay. Are your parents still alive?
Yes, Miss Minute.
How are they?
My mommy. Them shoot the father, One gunshot to my heart, 9 shots.
Oh, your dad? Okay.
Wow, that must have been traumatic.
How old were you when that happened?
I'm telling me about 13.
Okay, fully grown. All right. Tell me what, yes.
Upper Jackson, You ever go up there?
Where, Tavistock? I know the area and I can see it, but...
Whenever we drive up there.
Up to Tavistock? You mean where the land slippage is?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Lowell, have we been up there? No. Are you live in that area?
Then Barbican we live in community.
Yes, but you didn't say Barbican. You said Tavistock. I've been through Barbican, but I only see the development on the hillside.
Yeah, Miss Community. So maybe I look on them every day.
Yeah.
Okay. You see the hillside coming down on you?
Yes, my brethren. All right, now I'm not telling a lie. It's a cost them,
I believe it will.
It's impossible for them to do what they do. That little hill up there, save us when storm coming up.
Okay.
When storm pass through Jamaica, that hill save us down here. In a lot of ways. And these people going up there and dig down the hill. But them a dig down the hill for.
But earlier I was saying, if you own a piece of land your ownership of the land allows you certain freedoms with it. But the law does protect adjoining landowners in the event of something that you did on your land causing loss to them. But that something has to be through your carelessness, your negligence.
That's why I said to cost them.
Yeah, so what would be the carelessness that you think? Because what I'm reading, the way it is being reported, it suggests that they were conducting a test which in ordinary circumstances shouldn't have caused that landslide. But there is some talk about a water commission major pipe traversing the hillside that developed a leak that nobody knew about and caused the slippage, that the actual slippage didn't come from the boreholes that were being testing that was being conducted on the land. Do you, as somebody living in the area, do you have that understanding that it may not have been caused? Huh?
They are searching for cause.
But you have to. Something like that happen, you have to search for a cause.
Yeah, and they want to lawyer power and judge. First of all, them should start and it work there.
So,
not development can go on and them place a bedroom.
But the report, though, is that there are other developments on. Yes. So
other one that they know shouldn't be there.
So it may
other one that they shouldn't be there. So other people are going to go pick another one that they shouldn't be there. That's why that's when they start wrong. That's when they start wrong, Reverend.
Yes.
You got to just continue wrong and people love you to continue.
Yeah, but they're building. I mean, there are ways to approach construction in areas that are prone to slippage. That if it's a matter of using the right technology. Anyway, I think the people who live in the neighborhood are entitled to the truth, and I hope that even the way you are expressing it now,
the people themselves no development there like that.
Yeah.
That the people themselves, the people want to.
Well, the geologist who has looked at it says that while construction can take place, it would require significant resources and highly skilled engineers.
Oh, you see all them geologists, man, I tell you, man. They can miss out something they up there already. If them and look for everybody that getting kick off of it. Want something them put up with the other day.
Yes.
If you know how much $1 billion them have to spend to cut up that pan inside there. And a waste of money.
All right, African, I'm getting the signal. It's 8:31. We have to take a break now. So thank you for sharing. And I think we're going to have more conversations on this subject matter because there is a place. Yes. Yes.
You see the one, the foreign man that will come here? The money, the IMF man there?
Yes.
Him coming like the woman, Miss Lagarde, you know. Not trust them here.
All right. Okay, I gotta take the 8:30 break.
All right, no.
Cool. Thank you.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
Half a tree, one and drive. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new with them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Trust me.
Ah, what a relief.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hackett Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Here we are standing in your presence. Connect! Glory Connect! Join us on Best FM with Apostle Prophetess Denise Wellington and Pastor Alicia Gonzalez Morgan. This Saturday at 4 p.m. on Best FM Radio. Come out and discover your purpose. Take up that phone and dial now. Come and experience something new. Experience something great. Experience your own expression of encountering the supernatural glory of God's abundant life and transformation being fulfilled. Are you depressed, oppressed, worn out, tired, or stressed? Have you discovered your true purpose yet? This is the moment. Connect now to Glory Connection. Come and experience the word of God, intercession, healing, and deliverance. Experience something great. Receive salvation and breakthrough. Connect. Tell a friend, family, and your neighbor. See you then. Make an impact on your career. Earn real money. Get 3 to 4 local and international certification in practical nursing and early childhood education with free CXC or CAPE subjects in 6 to 12 months at Distinction College, located at 26 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 6 Nugent Street, Spanish Town, and Ocho Rios. Earn global certificates in 3 months in geriatric nursing, phlebotomy, childcare. We have the lowest school fees around. Classes begin very soon. Call us 356-4167.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up Show, Lascelles Butch Chen, on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years. Compellingly define, educate, and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100.
It's good. It's better, but nothing beats.
Okay. All right. So as the calls are coming in, Percy and I were acknowledging that the PNP now has a delegate chosen by their internal democratic process for the St. Elizabeth Northeastern Division constituency. Attorney at law Zulika Jess. Did I get her name right? Zulika Jess has triumphed over Kern Spencer. But in the aftermath of the victory being announced, interviews were being carried, and there was one person from the constituency claiming that 3,000 delegates were disenfranchised, and therefore the results of the election cannot be representative of what the people really want.
Nice black woman.
Yeah, Zulika Jess, no doubt a favorite with Cruz, our own Cruz, who said that Kern Spencer should retire or should not be in the race. Take out the word retire. Zulika survived with what looks like a whopping margin, 569 of 780 votes that were cast during the elections. Mr. Spencer only getting 209 votes, 2 ballots rejected. You're saying now that the person who said 3,000 delegates were disenfranchised, the general secretary of the party has spoken on it.
And so it was 390 because a total of 1,274 delegates were eligible to vote in Sunday's delegates conference, with a turnout of 61.2%, representing 780 delegates who opted to cast their votes. And leading up to the election, there had been tense moments when supporters of just protested an attempt by Spencer to have 400 more delegates placed on the voters list. Over in a release on Saturday, PNP General Secretary Dayton Campbell said the party executive approved the conference date on May 15, and a draft list of delegates was disseminated on May 25th. He pointed out that a 7-day window was given for aspirants to review the list and indicate any desired amendments, correction, and objection. Consequently, a final list was produced, and only groups that were deemed financially qualified at the time of the announcement of the election date, which was on May 15, were deemed eligible to vote at Sunday's delegates conference. Yeah. But I like her. Just
that's why your son say you're a gal.
Well, I tell you,
I'm gonna review that.
Mr. Producer. Please, my brother.
You're running to Switzerland.
Yes.
For protection. For protection.
No, but it's interesting because they have been going through the rounds, and some of them have been very controversial. Remember what happened with the doctor over in St. Catherine?
Yes.
And that is now become a police investigation because their office was firebombed. Yeah.
Well, we are seeing a lot of the PNP's internal democracy, how it works.
On the front page?
Yes. And that's not a bad thing, because when you look at the 7 principles of public life, it is good to see some degree of transparency on the decision making and the leadership style of those who are setting themselves up as, leaders, potential leaders. So yeah, it's kind of good to see them work through their things. It should give persons a greater insight into the capabilities of the opposition as leaders and how they resolve conflict. So sometimes you feel like it's too much, but if you choose to apply it in a purposive way, yeah, it can be useful.
But I want to comment on, there's this drug trial that's going on now. About some people are trying to.
Which drug is on trial?
Cocaine.
Really? Cocaine is on trial?
This drug trial, 2 British nationals, gentlemen, a man and a woman, were arrested on May 6th. That's May 6th this year.
Yeah.
For attempting to smuggle cocaine onto a flight to Birmingham. And it has reached, so the guys were convicted, and they've said now they've got a third person because they say it was a conspired. He gave them cocaine to ship, and he's been remanded in custody because. But last year at the airport, the airport,
the major cocaine haul at our international airport, we're still,
and that was like $2 or $3 billion. And we haven't heard anything. What is happening with that?
Maybe need to move the police who investigate this little one here.
Need to go over there
over there and investigate.
That we can't lose sight of that,
Yeah, man. This is right, and it must be at the top of the pile of things to forget.
Yeah.
On Mr. Fitzbailey's desk.
Yeah, because it can't. And whether
it's kind of embarrassing because they, even to give like one of those soft updates that they do. This is an ongoing investigation, or we are working with international partners, and there's a need for us to maintain discretion and
September.
And say anything they could say.
October, November, December, January, February, March, April.
We're coming up to an anniversary.
June.
No arrests.
Yeah, no arrests.
No announcements. No updates.
Yeah, we need to. What is happening? And people look
should
at
ask the Integrity Commission to launch an investigation into the professionalism of.
No, that's serious though,
Yeah, it requires it does require a statement. We were talking about Tavistock, and African was just speaking to us about the impact of those developments on the neighborhood. Minister Vaz has come out publicly to deny any involvement in the development. The land was owned by him and his brothers, and they have sold it to others or given it to others. I'm not sure. It's worth looking at. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah. You talk about jump a while ago. The biggest man down at the police force of Pittsburgh, a mafia, the biggest mafia right to why I know that to.
Is he someone you know personally?
I call people, the biggest mafia force, man.
No, I'm asking if you know him.
You know him personally?
No, I'm asking if you know him personally. When you say these things, does it come from your direct knowledge?
Oh, it's gone.
The call is gone.
People say
there is a place to go when you have knowledge about persons.
Mafia mix up.
Yeah, the Integrity Commission will do well with that kind of. And now that you have the Protected Disclosures Act, it's a way to go. Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Not too bad today.
Oh.
There be no mercy for the merciless. All wicked people must contest. Morning, Pastor Percy.
Good morning, mornings.
Morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning. This song is sounding like it could make money.
I'm big up to all the callers and listeners worldwide. Big up to Mr. Lawrence, nice you there, and all callers worldwide. And as we always say, all for one for all, in that manner there can be no failure. One God, one destiny, one equal right to all. Yeah.
So how was your Father's Day? Yes.
Huh?
How was your Father's Day?
Oh, yes, it was nice. It was nice, man, because neighbor, my pastor and his wife invite me over. We have a nice time. Some nice people who want to big him up. Sister back and brother back in the neighbor, you know.
All right. Well, I'm glad I reminded you. I hope they're listening. I'm glad I reminded you so you could show honor and appreciation for what was done for you.
Yeah, man. So what they did, they invite a lot of fathers and mothers as well to have a nice time at their house, you know.
Oh, wow.
That's a great idea.
Excellent.
Yeah, man.
Excellent.
Yeah, man. They are good neighbors. We live as one in this area, you know, in the church here, so, you know.
Excellent.
Yeah, man.
Excellent.
So as a last week, one day I talk to you, I'm telling you, curious, angry, ignorant about the killing of the young people in Jamaica.
Yes.
2008, me lose my daughter and could have lose my grandson and my granddaughter to fire, you know. I'm fire bombing over to them, you know.
Wow.
Yes, I end up losing my daughter 2008, and so luckily my grandson and my granddaughter survived. You know?
Yeah, that is rough.
Yeah, so that's why we have no mercy for the mercy.
And here we are in 2023, and it's like we haven't. It's like it get worse.
Yes, get worse. That's why you hear me say, "We have to change. We have to start get serious now." Cause listen, me now.
Yeah.
Remember, you know what it is, you know. Man, I just try to kill people. You know, the more you take, you know, the more strike you get, you know, in the bad man circle. You know.
It's promotion now.
Yes, I mean, you them pick it up for even when you're a big town, Parkinson. So it's international, I think I do the song. And you come down and send people to take it down. And you were doing that, tell you them, if them not take up with the man, a bad man.
Oh, jeez.
So when the young youth, them, you are them kind of idiot now. They will just take a gun and kill anybody who prove themselves as a bad man.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. And then you have some people who are talking about human rights. If you miss minute, for you kill a man, you have no human rights left. Your human rights done, you have to go order your coffin and put it down. Because at the end of the day, you cannot kill 6, 7, 8 man and rejoice and love your life so much and take the other people's life. So want to put them life. You see them life is important.
So, but the reason why Christ was one who said, "Love your enemy," is because if you respond to the hate and the violence with more hate and more violence, we're going to end up alone. I mean, so there is a necessity. Forget even that it is very, very hard to do. There is a necessity for somebody to draw the line, because the whole point of struggling for existence is to exist.
Yeah. But if you remember, they can't exist with certain type of people. So when people take killing as them trade, as them work, as them career, who ever get one of those type of people?
But you see, we don't even have to imagine that those persons are untouchable, because we know they're not. We know that, one, even amongst themselves, they will kill each other.
Right.
Two, there is God and there is sickness and death that come in the divine order of things that can take a man who was not even expecting it, cut him right down. The question is always, or the trick is, the challenge is always for you who did not start out desiring to be one who take life. It is to keep you from being provoked into joining. That's the trick, because take your daughter now, somebody firebomb the house and life is lost. You could legitimately take up a campaign to deal with that. But that was not who you were. That would divert you from your path. And just like you don't want the DJ spouting that nonsense over the ear in the hearing of your young, impressionable children who are trying to decide who they are and what kind of reputation and can they survive without being a bad man. Because, the end of it, in our survival, everybody's trying to survive. And if you think that portraying yourself as a bad man will increase your odds, you're going to do that until somebody tell you that you can't really be a bad man unless you have done X, Y, Z. Now you have a decision to make. If you abandon your profile as a bad man, you become prey to the others who are looking to earn their stripes over you. And now you're caught in a situation. This morning we were talking about the blessing that we must give to our children so that they have a stronger sense of identity and a stronger understanding of purpose.
Yes.
It's why we were talking about it.
But the thing, Mr. Pastor,
in terms of what? Because I'm the same thing. No.
It sounds like Pastor, then I listen to
No, I was listening to what she was saying, and I'm in agreement, because you come to a place where you have to make a decision as to which path you're going to go. If you're going to pursue the path of peace, or you're going to say, I will do what I must do right now, not understanding the repercussions along the path. Because, you see, I remember Martin Luther King Jr., when they were saying, they're not going to respond. They said, boy, you see, if you continue that way, you're just perpetuating the same thing. And we have to go down a different path to get a different result. That's what I believe.
We have to find a way to get them to start
different.
Put themselves on time of violence,
Yeah.
Because the crime and violence, leads to nowhere good. You understand a destruction. And destruction is a thing where it hurt everybody that we in the country. It might be not to our family, but it happen to one, it happen to all.
I agree with you about that, and that is true. So we have to decide to take a different path, because we have seen that going, it hasn't worked. Cause you sound old enough. You remember Tide Fire, the 70s, where because of politics, it was an old people home and people set it on fire, and so many people died innocent.
Yes, man. I several man, people play them, burn down and chop up people, animal and all and something. That's why you see me born politics,
Yeah.
You want to go on politics, so we can't join something when we have to kill me brother to survive.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to
that.
All right.
Well, see, and that's the same thing we're saying about the young men who are hearing, you have to take dopey to be a bad man, have to come to the same place you have, that if that is what it takes for me to survive, to put people in the ground, I'll find another way.
We'll find another way. A better way.
Yeah. And we as adults in the community have to help them see the different options.
But
Yeah.
you know, follow the good role model at all, you know, follow the good role model, you know.
But
Yeah.
we have to continue, you know, because I have had success with some of the people who was on a part, and me keep pressing them, and them finally see it, because I keep saying to people, our young people need for us to have a real relationship with them, where we are really authentic, and we say, me did do that, you know, but it never work out. And we keep at them, we keep have to be expanding our relationship, because they want it, you know. I have discovered they want you to talk to them, but you have to understand where they are at and put yourself out there in terms of being real and authentic with them and change. You know, some of them discover it later on and come back and say, you know, Elder, where did I say a truth still, you know? And it right, because it's saying them are listen. Some of them you will lose them, but those of us who know what is the right to do will have to continue to do the right thing and to say this now work out. And our leaders have to do it, because let me show you know, people now make the connection, you know. I was disappointed that this young senator come into parliament and him continuing on a path which is which it
even his own prime minister had
I
said,
tell him, stop
abandon
stop the cascas.
Yeah.
When that dirty is in politics, it is not a thing, you know.
It's not benefit. It's not benefit. We have to decide. We know go that way. They're not benefit.
That's why embarrassing politics.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. Yes, thank you too.
Good.
Yeah, man, bless you, man. Big up to you, man. Yeah, man.
All right. But isn't that wonderful that the pastor in the local community, in the local area,
just reach out,
hosted
everybody,
people in the neighborhood?
And more we need to do that.
More of us need to do that.
Even though it is and it's not that pastors are willing, but we have to be sacrificial.
Yeah, but
that is what broke the back in the when the early church. The community was one that was sacrificial in
they share.
Serving.
All put it in the pot and share.
Yeah.
So those who didn't have could participate in what others had.
We need to go back. We need to go back.
Always a great thing to experience.
Because even in the we have to be saying to people, we have to be sacrificial if we want to make impact.
So in between the calls, I am reading with great interest this story concerning first Mr. Vaz saying he got out of the ownership of that land, but he did. And, you know, some of these things that politicians do, you say it as if you were doing a great thing, but it ends up being something harmful. He said before he got out of ownership of the land, he took the joint venture company to whom he was selling it, and introduced them to the community, and there was a consultation and so on and so forth. You know, when a man of Mr. Vaz's stature introduced somebody to the community, that's really telling you.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good to go. Good morning and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Pastor and Miss Minute and a half if he's there.
Good morning, Mr. Cruz.
How was Father's Day for you, sir? You were celebrated?
I left my shop after 8.
You worked hard.
That is not good. Yes. So them would have celebrate you. Leave your shop after 8. So them have dinner with you.
About 8 a.m. or 8 p.m.?
8 p.m.
No, man.
You worked all day, so your son was there handing you tools and helping to organize. So you had a beautiful day.
Right.
And I went to boat. I spent about an hour and a half at the boat inside.
Okay.
I'm a delegate, you know that.
So you're not one of the disenfranchised. What's the story of this 400 or 3,000, whichever story you hear, who were not included on the as part of the electorate?
Actually, I don't get the full story yet.
What's it shaping up to be?
So I don't know much about that, but those people are desperate. You know.
So what would cause such a large number? You have 780 odd, but and possibly about 400 persons were not incorporated into the electorate. What would cause delegates to be disqualified? Whatever number.
I don't know.
They have a procedure, man. It is. I think they have a procedure, but they said 1,274 persons were eligible to vote, only 780 vote, and the lady get 500 and something, and 200 and something went to Mr. What's his name?
Spencer.
Spencer. Yeah.
From I went there in the day to cast my vote, and I saw the two sections, because they have two sections, one across from the gas station or a mini-mart and one beside of a bar. And the crowd was way bigger
on one
Comrade side, way bigger.
Yes.
Spencer have more high-end vehicle and the bigger loud music playing. You understand?
But it's still one man, one vote.
Yes, it's still one man, one vote. And I think they did a survey before the election and he was way behind. And a lot of people that used to support him, like the bigger guys.
Yes.
You know. They said I heard them. We went to a meeting and they say, he called him asking if they're going to join him. And they said, no, you have a baggage. And we can't support somebody who's carrying a baggage right now. So take a rest. But he still wouldn't listen.
Oh, well, the electorate has spoken.
Yeah. So
Is it the kind of situation that might end up in court because one person feel that they were wrongfully excluded?
I don't know, because that does seem desperate. Cause if he can try to run again after he went through that problem, and even his lawyer told him to take a risk.
But you know, I see one of the comment made about it is that there are other places for him in the party, but I could imagine him feeling like I may have taken one for the team, being in that ugliness of the several years ago, and I've not been rewarded. You see, like Abka Fitzhenley is a senator. Other persons are given, positions in which to serve, and of him, it is only being said, well, there are other places that he can be useful in the party. He has a decision to take. Cruz, it's 9:00. We want to take the station break. Are you holding for a minute or?
No.
Call us back?
All right. I will not hold.
Well, we only have one line, so.
I know that. That's why I hold, and you must stop asking a lot of people to hold after they talk, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
All right, sir. So
we're suitably chastised.
Yes, man.
What was his point? I didn't get it.
3-4 minutes. Tell them to stop and move on.
Okay, so he took the sacrifice. Listen.
You're simply the best. You're simply the best.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening. Get inspired when you tune into Vent, brought to you by Via Express Couriers. This and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Best 100 FM. Hear from some of Jamaica's top entrepreneurs. Get updates on deals and upcoming events, tips for business, and pure vibes. Vent, a safe space for discussion. Make we chat, no man.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
Beneficiaries. The PATH payment cycle begins on June 19, 2023. Post offices and payment agencies will deliver payments based on last names up to July 3, 2023. Check the weekend star to find out when and where you should collect. If you miss your date, you must collect between July 4 or July 5, 2023. For more information, call PATH at 876-922-8007 or visit the ministry's website and Facebook page. PATH, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. Yeah, hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Try and call him, cause trust me.
Ah, what a relief.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Here we are, standing in the presence. Glory Connect! Glory Connect! Join us on Best FM with Apostle Prophetess Denise Wellington and Pastor Alicia Gonzalez Morgan. Every Saturday at 4 p.m. on Best FM Radio. Come out and discover your purpose. Take up that phone and dial now. Call and experience something new. Experience something great. Experience your own expression of encountering the supernatural glory of God's abundant life and transformation being fulfilled. What are you waiting for? Are you depressed, oppressed, worn out, tired, or stressed? Have you discovered your true purposes yet? This is the moment. What are you waiting for? Connect now to Glory Connection. Call and experience the Word of God, intercession, healing, and deliverance. Experience something great. Receive salvation and breakthrough. Connect. Tell a friend, family, and your neighbor. See you then.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.
Good morning. Minette wanted to make a very important point. Will you go ahead, please, my beautiful?
All right. Percy wants me to make a very important point. No, we're looking at what Minister Vaz has said concerning his ownership of this property, which is under the microscope because of the
land slippage.
Possible land slippage. No, this is the day of AI. Remember, Mr. Tufton warned us that things would come. This saying is not a land slippage. It's dirt that they dump on the land. Because the road was already inaccessible by virtue of the actions of another developer. But more on that. Mr. Vaz is explaining that they transferred the land. He, as one of the owners of the land, transferred it as part of a joint venture to a developer. And I was emphasizing for the benefit of Mr. Percival, who thinks it's worth your attention too, that it is called joint venture because you continue to be a part of the ownership. And most recently, it's in the name. Most recently, the Court of Appeal ruled 2-1 that a joint venture deal with a company that does not yet have real estate board registration or approvals to deal with a real estate development is unenforceable and illegal. The man who was hurt by that ruling said he believes it to be a wrong legal result, but he can't take it any further because to take it to the Privy Council would be another expense. So he's been on a campaign for persons to recognize that that is the current state of the law, according to our Court of Appeal, highest local court. If you have entered into an arrangement with a company, a joint venture, specifically a joint venture, and that joint venturer has not yet
Produced anything.
got the approvals, registered the development with real estate board and so on, your agreement is likely to be unenforceable. So I'm not saying that it is so with this Tavistock joint venture developer of whom Minister Vaz is speaking, but it is worth further investigation because Minister Vaz, being a public official, though he has not signed off to the 7 principles of public office, which includes transparency, openness, selflessness, where you do not do what he has described here. You, as government public official, take a businessman to the community, present him as your successor in ownership of something for which a development is going to be approved or approval is being sought. When you do something like that, you are really giving the impression that this is something that is good to go and that it's a foregone conclusion because, as it happened at the time, Mr. Vaz was seated comfortably as Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, where these kinds of developments go for approval. So if he thinks that the statements in today's article exonerate him, I think these statements have put him even deeper into it. And in some ways, it explains why government side find it hard to sign off on the Integrity Commission's Code of Conduct because they know right away, they're not so far gone, because they could sign it dishonestly, but they know right away that many of the things they've done and are doing would be in breach. You can't go to a community. This is what he said he did. He said he and the developer met with residents out of good order and neighborly respect after he had reached an agreement to transfer the land. He said that the meeting was for the developer to explain his concept for the land. That was the extent of my involvement in the development, he said, adding that residents raised certain concerns and recommendations, which the developer included in his final concept for approval. Approval by whom? Approval by the residents? Because it doesn't seem that that's the approval that he is talking about.
But the only people that it's just, I say, doing what he needs to do. But the reality is that the thing, is like if I'm in a setting and I've seen it recently, like having been president of a PTA and they invite me to come. What I say can't hold it away because I've been there, I've done it.
Yes.
You have a track record.
Yes.
And the people know you. That people say, "Me remember you." Yeah. So if I come and say something, them going to say, okay, it is approved. It's good to go.
Yes, man. It has your endorsement.
So
and
whether we like it or not, yeah.
That is, and that's what Mr. Prime Minister was accused of, when he introduced someone as a contractor when the investigation, which was aborted preemptively, I think. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, love and bless.
African.
I tell you, so there's something kind of looks seem like it started wrong in this minute.
It start wrong?
Yes, the whole set of developments there.
You understand now.
You talk about it this man and I said, but me see it on the TV.
Yes.
But some people I said them not like the thing that go around them. And so me think I want to see I go on the hill and I kind of have a little expression like so. So when you read out the thing now, you know so this a thing I must start wrong.
Yes. Well,
I start wrong in this minute.
Yeah.
And unless you fix it.
Conclusion now. A conclusion can come to now,
And no, I was saying that sometimes I believe that greater disaster is stayed because it is not really the will of the Father for the innocent to suffer so completely if there is another way. Right now, I think those developers have to look at buying out the adjoining land that's likely to be undervalued or affected or damaged by what they're doing and put together a proper plan because every dollar they have already spent is now in jeopardy.
Yeah, it's in jeopardy. Can you imagine that?
That's the way them do it in a community too.
Yes.
Them buy a little spot first and then they will around it.
Yeah, this one, if the regulator does what it ought to, and just out of concern for the adjoining landowners, they should put a halt to all developments until a full study is conducted, if it can be conducted, right?
Geological study is done.
Yes. Yes.
They can't sit there that no go through no paperwork much, you know.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. And certainly the kind of assessment may have been very limited and not done with a holistic approach to all that is possible on the mountainside. There are some areas that shouldn't even be in public hands, because once a man have a title, him going on do something one day.
A big thing I go on there, so, you know.
Yes, sir. I see the names connected. Mr. Peter Azar, businessman, Connect 4. He is involved in one of the developments, and he is the one saying they did not breach any regulations. Yes.
I knew the school alone ago, you know. You know the school, I knew the school.
Yes, yes.
I guess I alone ago, you know, Miss Mility.
Well, I can tell you that it has not limited your ability to reason.
You're not going to other school, you know. Miss Mility.
Mm-hmm.
These politicians. Then, you want to tell me, Miss Mility. Them who want the whole of Jamaica.
Ah, my brother. No, they don't. They don't. And we shouldn't be fooled by any kind of overreaching into thinking that we are powerless. Since you're just hearing the story as it developed, let me share with you what Mr. Azar has said. Mr. Azar says that there was a need for the engineer to cut a road to get to the site to conduct some borehole test. And he says they had to cut the road to get up the hillside, as 8 boreholes were needed at different points as a requirement imposed to satisfy a requirement imposed from the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. He said that his only error was to dump dirt on a minor road and not move it in time because there was some problem with a backhoe. He did nothing wrong except putting the dirt on the road. He denies that there was a landslide. There was no landslide, he said, insisting that the road had already been made impassable due to another development, I guess. I'm not sure. He didn't say how that other development caused the road to be in that condition. Was there a landslide, African? Are people saying there was land slippage? People saw it?
So when development is going on there, what them take out of them side of a company road?
No, I see now that becomes another kind of like another point that has to be addressed. The disposal of waste in the course of your activities. He said you had to cut a road so he could get to where, and I guess you need equipment to do the boreholes, and you had to get there. But the story continues because after Mr. Nesbitt, the engineer, did his thing, Tariq Malik, who is he's the other developer who they said caused the road to become impassable. He says that there was a landslide based on something he was doing, but that it was no one's fault. That landslide, he says, took place because there was a leak beneath the hill caused by a 10-inch pipe and a faulty hydrant. So that would be NCC.
That big pipe.
And the water that it released into the soil saturated the entire hillside and caused the slippage.
And that hillside is what them put there?
No, I guess that is what the natural terrain of the area. But
it's not the dirt that them put there.
So what Connect 4. One group is saying I put some dirt there because I cut a road. But what I did was add to dirt that was already there because another developer did something that caused land slippage. And that developer says the slippage was because of a leaky pipe.
Which made them go there cause problem for the other resident them.
Yes. But you see, in from a regulatory perspective, and this is where citizens need to sort of band together, it really doesn't matter how it came about. It could have been just an act of nature. It tells you something about the terrain, and it tells you something about the potential dangers when work is being done on a site in that area.
If you see all of that happening and then I start building nothing,
yes,
you're going to have a serious problem.
Yeah.
We're going to have serious problem.
No, the law deals with it and let them know, so no further action.
Let me see here. I'm not seeing that.
I'm not put a stop on.
I'm not. Yes, I don't see where NEPA has or the municipality has done anything. The newcomers, the ones who are just doing borehole tests, they're not the subject of anything yet. But the ones who are currently working, I think something needs to be done. If I were living in that area, they would have to just buy my land and let me move out of their way. They could build their wall where my land is. Yeah?
NEPA hasn't said anything as yet.
NEPA hasn't spoken on it
They're
as
more
yet.
on the issue.
And of them supposed to be the issue, don't?
Yes, they should be leading. The gleaner shouldn't have to be trying to dig out NEPA.
The paperwork there look shabby. And NEPA should have come out long time and I say what it say.
Yeah. That would be, as a citizen, I support that viewpoint. If I lived in the area, I would be pounding on the door of the regulators to impose some order.
Them have to come and deal with the issue now.
Yeah, that would be my call if I lived there.
They're not going to long in the office and collect them more pay until they can deal with the issue.
Yeah, I'm looking here to see.
I'll live my life in a misery. I used to run.
Yeah, but anything that affects the safety of the citizens and the environment requires. Yeah, that's not something that you should be mum on, or people have to dig you out. But thanks very much, Africa.
One more thing.
Sure.
Housing. You know how much housing Jamaica people get over the past 10 years?
Over the last 10 years, it's easy to find out, but I don't have it at my fingertips. I know the Prime Minister has promised to bump it up by a few thousand housing units, but why have you asked?
Because I look at me not hear any issue no time to the people I get them.
Oh. Now what we're talking about, NHT funded housing developments?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very easy to find out. I would check. But you see, with the don't forget, the 2 years of interruption with the pandemic has had serious impact because people who were slated to complete their developments, I know at least one that has been delayed by pretty much 2 years.
This minute we just want to know if the thing are working in a efficient way, Miss Minute.
Oh, no, well, Lord, African, but you know it's not working in an efficient way.
You see the man that come from foreign, the IMF man there.
Yes.
I remember the last time IMF people from here, what's your name?
Lagarde.
I remember she come and tell them, so if you take out the housing trust money, and don't pay it back. This is the only money one can get down the door now to pay it back. See what else the housing trust money. One hour they go take it out.
Okay.
And
All right, African, yeah. So, yeah.
So, and from that money I take out, and we out the majority of the people in Jamaica no own no house, they no live nowhere. The brethren is a serious dishonesty that
I don't think any visiting IMF official could compel our government to use trust money that is supposed to attend to housing. When we make those decisions, we're exercising our own authority, and we have to be responsible for it.
This minute he come up in the news.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that she can't compel them to do it. She might say, or anyone can say, there are resources that the government can use. The decision to use it very much belongs with our own people.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we ask who said to use that money and don't pay it back, remember all other borrow money pay back, you know.
And the decision not to pay it back is also our own government's decision. That can't be anybody's fault except our own.
This minute is a serious decision.
I agree with you, but we have to recognize that we always have a choice and don't let anybody use external forces as a scapegoat.
That is not our choice, Miss Minity.
It has to be
and put down that money there.
Yeah, when I say our choice, I mean it's our government that does it.
Right,
we have to accept responsibility for that. All right, my brother, we gotta release the line now.
Another bite
Thank
the
you.
cherry. All right.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I that's a big point for me, Percy, because foreigners can come here and say anything they feel like. But ultimately,
it's advice.
We have to make the decision.
It's
and
advice.
when you're borrowing money, you can't force a man to lend you. It requires consensus, and I can decide I'm not lending you because I don't like how you do business, and I still have my problem.
With what?
I still, you go to borrow money and a person refuses to lend you the money, even if they have it. You still got to find a way to address your issue. So, talking about government response to what is happening in the Tavistock area, you did quote Diana Macaulay, the Jamaica Environment Trust founder, making comments critical of she says that KSAMC was reckless in the extreme because she feels that vulnerable sites, such as that location, Tavistock, should be avoided, especially where we are not known to provide adequate monitoring of the engineering solutions and the maintenance failures of man-made structures. I'm quoting what she is saying here in a report on it. We really do have a habit of allowing well-connected persons to just do as they feel like. Well, the result of it is those well-connected persons can be stopped in their tracks. And they can, if I owned land in that area, I would sell it, no matter how much you never stay connected to the place. Because ultimately, I always wonder, what's the future of those developments where they exist on fault lines that constantly show up some activity from time to time? What is the real
there? You already have a recipe.
Yeah, you see
it. Because if you know there's a no fault line, and the gentleman there was
the geologist,
was talking about it to say, he says that the eastern side of the hill has been faulted up some 12 kilometers relative to Legany on the western side. So he says there's a fault line there. That travels by 12 kilometers because you can look at
so you know the extent of it. You could make proper arrangements in your regulatory scheme to deal with developments in that area and set the standard so people know if you're going to do anything up there, so it's going to cost you. Or just leave it alone until you've bought up enough land to contain whatever it is you're doing. Some people go into neighborhoods and just keep buying until they have the amount of land that will allow them to build the proper retaining walls, get the proper infrastructure in place. If not, you have to stop the development right where it is until the people who have the money can buy up and be in a position to complete the development properly. That's why it usually costs a fortune to live in places that have certain views. But it costs a fortune to build in those places.
Because I've
you
heard
build
people
properly.
say they're building on the what you call it again, retaining wall. Was cost like $12-15 million to build it. So I say, how much it costs to build a house there? But the good thing when they told me is that the retaining wall was used in terms of the construction of the house. So them did it, But it's an expensive thing.
And if it's in a neighborhood where if you put it in as the first one, you have added value to the others who can benefit from the retainage that your wall creates. Good morning and welcome. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in regards to, talk about like fault lines and then something,
Yeah.
Yeah, I did some, basic geography in school, or study earthquake and something.
Yes.
Yeah, well, as for me, really, I don't really believe in the science, when them talk a lot of stuff that they say, because I always wonder, if they know that there's a fault line, why they don't fix it? They know the depth of it, how deep is it in the earth, and why they don't fix it.
I'm glad you said that you only did a little geography, because you made Pastor laugh a while ago. They're gonna fix what the Creator set, or what, let's say, what nature, what exists in nature. Like, there's a river, why you don't fix it, dump it up, or
Yeah, when they do that, it just shift out a lot of things.
the displacement.
You can't fix a fault line, somewhere, but that means you don't have an understanding of what a fault line is.
Explain it.
Because the earth has different plates. You understand that, right?
They call it what? They call it
Tectonic plates, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Okay, all right.
So you think it could be fixed?
What I remember the science, for example, they talk about El Nino, and they change it into El Nino, and they change it, the other name, the new name.
Yeah, that's your
warming.
Yeah, but that's another aspect that you're going into now, because things that are under study or under evaluation will change, because you're studying it and you don't know the pattern is emerging. And what is for sure is that persons are seeing changes in the weather patterns that they're trying to understand. That's a different thing. Some people say it don't exist. Some say it is God's control of the elements, which he can do as he please with it because he's sovereign. But in terms of the geology and the structure of the earth, I think there are some things which you can accept. I mean, we're not at the stage where some are saying the earth flat and some say it round and some say it can drop off of the edge, or we're gone some distance from that place. Now we have satellites in space. We're getting imagery from different perspectives on how the earth is formed and what comprise it, and the different structures that are apparent. You don't accept that science.
Darwin's theory of evolution.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're not talking now about social science or anthropology and opinions that man derive from their study of known phenomena. We're talking about the physical, tangible world that you can touch and feel, and technology that exists that allow you to get imagery from inside the earth, so you can get a sense of the structure of it. You don't accept that science.
I don't think man is able to create any technology to find out. I think Ecclesiastes 8:17 says that no matter how the man them try to find it out, they won't be able to find out the wisdom and it.
Yeah, but we're not talking about breaking into the unknowable mystery of how it was created. We're talking about looking at it. I can look at you and say you're a man because I see certain things that are typical of men. So people are looking at the earth and getting an understanding of how it is set. And there are tectonic plates, and there are volcanoes, and there are underground.
Yeah. So we're gonna put it and come back. You have to call us back.
Oh, my brother,
we call us back.
Yeah.
Call us back on the break. All right?
9:32. We have to take our break.
Call us back. All right.
Okay.
Cool. Bye.
Make an impact on your career. Earn real money. Get 3 to 4 local and international certification in practical nursing and early childhood education with free CXC or CAPE subjects in 6 to 12 months at Distinction College, located at 26 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 6 Nugent Street, Spanish Town, and Ocho Rios. Earn global certificates in 3 months in geriatric nursing, phlebotomy, childcare. We have the lowest school fees around. Classes begin very soon. Call us 356-4167.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up Show, Lascelles Butch Chen, on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years. Compellingly defined, educate, and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
Best 100.5 FM brings you youth empowerment and resilience, a 30-minute program with Walton McLaren every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Your Monday nights will not be the same again. Managing stress, trauma? Let's talk on youth empowerment and resilience with Walton McLaren on Best 100.5 FM every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-time taxi service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start? Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive. Yeah, hear me? Yeah, waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. Yeah, hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you. You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss. Try and call him, cause trust me. Ah, what a relief.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning and welcome to The Morning Connection.
Yeah, morning. It's me again.
It's me again.
Yeah.
Yes, Cruz.
Most of the people who vote for Kern.
Yes.
No, I shouldn't say that. They're honest people down here in St. Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
Honest.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? They're honest people down here. And when wrong is wrong, a lot of people know that wrong is wrong. But some people just don't see wrong. Some people just opportunity.
So, what are you saying about the people who voted for the opponent?
It is your opinion. Your considered opinion.
It's my opinion.
Right. So it's in that fashion. And you're considered that the persons who voted for Mr. Spencer want to continue in the old ways and not seeing that.
Or they were displaying ill-advised loyalty. Well,
Well,
since
I don't know, but
since they lost, it really doesn't matter.
well, I heard you talking about court issue.
Oh yes, you could.
Then I'll go to the court,
You
man.
know, it would be Mr. Spencer would have to go and say that he was denied democratic treatment because the elections were not fair and free. People were excluded. Or somebody who was excluded can go and say, I was denied my right to vote because I was unlawfully excluded. Then you would have to show what breach occurred.
If I have 12 sons and I'm leaving Africa,
yes,
I should be able to leave to know which one of my sons I can leave to control my house until I get back.
I trust so. If you're, yeah.
So I think in most cases the party should know the person that they wanted to control a constituency.
Except that that's not a good analogy, father leaving his business, because the constituency is not the party's business. The party is just seeking to organize and capture what the people in the community want and to be in a position to represent them. So the party has to have regard to democratic processes that bring about the widest possible inclusion of the community members. And that's why some people complain that you should not have delegates just voting like that for who's going to represent the whole community, because it's really forcing community members to go and be registered in a party so you can influence what the delegate does or become a delegate yourself.
I believe from a person being caught up in certain crime, whether he's not guilty or whatever, he should be able to hold certain office again.
So you believe in the code of conduct? That's what you're saying?
But the code of conduct don't say that. Because there has to be room for rehabilitation and repentance and so on. Whether they're guilty or not, you can't condemn a person based on. If not, all we would do is just make a lot of noise and call up people's name, and we do that. We do a fair amount of that. I can tell you, I've experienced it personally. It's not right, and it's not a just way to approach anything. Yes,
I know a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people. Poor people that they repent but they don't. I see a lot of people.
Yeah, that might be so, but it don't mean that you set up a standard that closes the door to those who are sincere. Suppose 10 women just start to walk and talk, say you are them baby father.
Where I do?
Well, never do blood test.
Yeah, but by your standard, just the fact that people accuse you would make you disqualified. If the right woman came along and you want to marry her and she said, no, sir, your name is not too much mixed up.
Everywhere, your name all over the place.
All over the place. Anybody could run that campaign and mash up your life in one day.
I believe in destiny.
Oh, now we're talking a different language.
No, but
you know, but how much money you save, you're dead rich.
But Cruz, not that you. But Cruz, you understand the logic of what Minette is saying to you, though, that you can't. Yeah, because I know of cases where people set up people, you know, like with what is happening with social media. I don't like you, I can start a campaign against you. I can use AI, which is what and you get a picture of me and you fix the voice and you hear me and say, I love homosexual and blah blah blah. I'm just using that as an example.
Something you'd never say.
Yeah. Even that's why I will never put a picture of me at my age now. I will put a younger picture so Pastor can see how cute I was.
Well, thank you for wrapping up the show on a lighter note for us.
All right, Cruz.
Oh boy.
Lord have mercy. No, but you know.
Lord.
And you know, he has raised a point though that we have to be so very careful. Because he has said, if your name call up in a thing, even though there might not be any
merit
or substance, because look at what happened on the political hustings on the weekend. Vaz goes and says him have a letter that's supposed to be signed by the other thing to the president and the sign a letter demanding golden resignation if he continues to push back against the salary increases, the politician, and insist on a rollback. And everybody say, which letter? And them say, oh, but that comes out of a party where people get unsigned letters and they go to Supreme Court to rule that it is unconstitutional. So,
Oh, it's Mark Golding he's talking about?
yes.
Oh, but anybody could have make up that the letter. Oh, come on.
Yeah, so Vaz is on the mystery letter, they call it.
And is Mr. Vaz have it?
Yes. No, sir.
But anybody, that's right up there with Mr. Fitzhenley telling me that he had a transcript of a conversation and that satisfied his journalistic standard that there was a story. It's right up there because anybody could just write up. You know, I was watching a Mr. Bean movie where he was trying to go enter the Cannes Festival. The comedian, the silent Mr. Bean, and he made his own ticket to enter Cannes. And he used some stick men to enter. Two persons were permitted to enter on this ticket, where he drew himself as a stick man and the little girl that was traveling with him as a little stick person. Yeah. And he turns up at the gate with his ticket and presents it. Two to enter. It's right up there with that kind of comedic stunt. Write your own letter. But you see, anything gets said.
Yeah.
Anything gets said.
And we have to be careful to critically look and analyze. You can't just take anything around it anymore, you know.
And I hope there's a call for Mr. Vaz to produce the letter or shut up. Produce the letter or withdraw the comments. Let's see how far they're going to take that. You know, I was in court when I heard a lawyer say to the judge, you need to compel the other side to respond, to answer something. And the judge was undone by this. She said, compel them to speak. Who can you compel? There can be a consequence if you don't speak. You can take there, but compel them?
Sound like your friend, your new friend.
Oh, no. No friends in that quarter. But the point is, when you say produce a letter or withdraw the comment, what you expect to happen? You better know what you're gonna do when the man dig deep and either produce the letter or refuse to withdraw the comment. What you're going to do?
So you know,
I need to teach a class in issuing ultimatums.
But you know,
maybe it's ultimata.
But it is unfortunate that the rhetoric has gotten so high, and we're not dealing with some of the real issues that are on the table that we really have to deal with as a country. Because they gone to all of these sideshows, you know.
Yeah.
These sideshows not dealing with the real issues.
Chasing red herrings all over the place while we are there.
Starving. There's no ready for us to eat.
Red herring is very good with ackee.
Yes, you know, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing of integrity of heart and purpose and mind, as we call out our leaders in terms of what is happening. But this thing in terms of the development, the environment, it reminds us of what probably is happening in the cockpit country. We haven't heard anything about that in recent times. But
no, the court made a ruling permitting the company, the bauxite mining company, to resume working on some areas which I didn't get us. I'm not clear. Well, I haven't raised it on air because I'm not clear how the court defined the area in which they can work. But I think the court was trying to preserve the injunction whilst not doing what the company complained that was happening, that they would be seriously damaged economically if they were unable to do any work at all. But I noticed that those who got the injunction have not spoken on it, and the company has done no more than say, you know, they're happy that there's some work they can do. So I think there's more to come because it's still just the injunction they were dealing with. It hasn't come to trial as yet. But yeah, there's more to come on that one. I'm going to try and find the judgment so I can understand what it is that the Court of Appeal was doing when it permitted some level of mining. Yeah. There's a lot more we're going to be hearing concerning as they get closer to election, this whole business of the misinformation and the use of
Disinformation.
fake videos and announcements and this all these things about signed letters or unsigned letters. I was saying to someone concerning NCB and the carousel matter that National Commercial Bank is purported to have disclosed some documents to the regulators, which on our side of the fence, carousel, misrepresented the true status of an account which had various signatories. And when I looked at the documents, what I saw was documents being photocopied and put together in a way to portray a particular narrative, and the narrative was wrong. And to this day, we've not got the police investigation. We've not got the police has not concluded an investigation as to how the documents came to be in this condition. The originals, which they were supposed to get and examine from NCB, were never produced. We have not seen them. And the court went on to make an unfavorable decision against Carousel in reliance on those false documents. So I know that a document can be put forth with signatures in this day and age when you can cut and paste and scan and make something look legit. I know that these things happen. We've been the victims of it. So it would be very interesting to see what the PNP does in the face of a senior government minister saying, I have a document bearing the signatures of all of you except two.
Who have signed a letter.
Yeah. And you say to him, produce the letter or withdraw the comment. I don't know why I produce the letter, because it's very easy to produce that letter. When the letter is produced, now what then?
Yeah, but
please have a game plan.
That is that yet about game plan. Because they must say, which letter? Me must remember say me sign it unless, as you said, them took the signature from somewhere else. I put it there. Oh,
yeah.
The web we.
No, it looked very interesting.
Oh, wow. Oh,
wow. Thank you all,
The
those
web
online,
we weave to the
those
sea.
on air. Thank you for journeying with us this morning. And thank you very much to the fathers in the house, both for your contribution and your sacrifices as fathers and for participating in the recap this morning. I'm hoping that someone who is trying to figure out next steps after Father's Day in repairing or building, whatever it is you might need to do with a relationship, that we've been of some assistance. And if not, give Pastor Percival a call. He's a great counselor.
We release a blessing upon you today. Be blessed
Yes.
as you go forth into
Yes,
the day.
every Jamaican
Is blessed.
comes from a place of strength and resilience that you can draw on, whether you know your father or not. It is yours. It is your birthright. It is what you have consumed just by standing on this rock and living and breathing the air in this place. You have strength beyond your own reckoning, and it will come to you when you need it. That is your blessing.
You're blessed.
Have a great day.